Welcome back. As you can see, I've made some progress to 3D printing this Algae Deoxydizer. So let me show you how these parts printed, and then we'll get into designing the last piece and then putting the whole thing together. Now, in the last episode here, we got things started off here with just the base down here, which was the first 3D printed part for this Algae Deoxydizer. We will be completing the rest of this 3D print in today's episode. So I'm going to start off here with just the last piece I need to model. Now, I've already modeled the rest of the components and 3D printed them, but based on your feedback from the last episode here, what I'm really going to be doing is just showing you the last piece here of the puzzle, so just a little bit of CAD and not dragging you through the mud, which is remodeling all of this. The one piece that was relatively interesting was maybe this funnel right here, but that was mostly just a big spline that went around and then I revolved it in order to get it shaped. But there will be a little bit more information maybe uploaded on a second channel. You can find that in the description below. But for today, this is going to be the piece that we're working on over here. So this is just the last little hose piece that goes in between the base and the funnel at the top here. So that's a pretty cool piece. And it looks like we can mostly model this piece with a series of lofts. Now, lofts are really just, a shape created between two profiles. So that's going to be a fairly easy thing to create so long as we do the process correctly. So this is a very similar process to how I've remodeled the rest of this this entire project thus far. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because of the fact that I want my model to be very, very smooth. And when it isn't smooth, you end up with segments. So here's an example of one piece that was just printed as is. And then you can see that same piece as it was printed once it was remodeled, and I was able to increase the mesh quality and really get a nice fine surface out of it. So that's why I'm actually doing this process here to all of the pieces inside of this Algae Deoxidizer, just to increase its quality, finish quality, I guess, just a little bit more. So I did the 3 points here in order to create a construction plane, and that's going to be quite simple. And then I'm just going to create a sketch here, and I'm just going to go ahead and real quickly just make a circle, and I'm not even going to click on any points. The reason I'm not clicking on any points at this point is because it's kind of hard to reliably click on the point I want. So what I'm doing here is I've holding control and clicking on the circle and that point right there, and then I'm just going to hit coincident right there. So that's going to pull that point coincident to that circle, and all I have to do is 3 times, and then once you have 3 points, you can predict your circle. So here we go, 1, 2, and then 3, just like so. And now I've got a sketch that is that exact, it's completely round. And so if I hide this body here, you can see the profile I have beforehand, which is this one, and then the profile I want to loft to. So in this case, I'm going to create a loft, and I'm going to start with this profile and then go to that profile, and you can see what it's doing there. It's just creating a solid body that's going to be in between those two pieces there. Now we can do some fun things if we actually just play with the rail line, and we just kind of drag this around. We can actually kind of make this a little bit concave. So you can create some interesting profiles if we really want to, but I'm not going to actually bother with that. I'm just going to create them nice and straight, and then click OK. And this is going to be the process that I repeat all the way up. All right, so now you can see I have all of these little pies that are kind of back and forth and all of that stuff. And so long as I am not missing anything, it looks like this is going to work out really good. You can also see that I'm not recording the history down here. This project has gone on for quite a long time now. And the amount of sketches and stuff I've needed to create, I mean, look at it all. I can actually go ahead and delete a lot of this stuff because I'm just doing like direct modeling here where I don't have to worry about all the history of everything. It's a plus and a minus to the whole process. Sometimes it's good to have some history. Sometimes it doesn't really help you out. But here we go. Let's do one to the next. And let's see if I could just go all the way up. Oh, you know what? I can. So if I really wanted to make this more of a wavy thing, I could just run to all the different profiles there and everything ends up tangent to each other. So if I take a closer look, let's see here. For the most part, they're pretty straight. I don't really think it does the wavy stuff. Although I know it's trying to be a hose, so I kind of like it wavy. Alright, so I've gotten rid of the other lofts, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and do that. I'll make it wavy. I've never quite done a loft quite like this. That's a pretty major overhang right there. We'll see. See if I can print that. What I might be able to do... Oh man, come on. Work controls. I might be able to play with that line a little bit here to kind of reduce the amount of angle I have to deal with here. I did some testing just the other day on a different printer, and I was actually able to do about 65, 70 degrees overhang with a 0.6 millimeter on PETG. I'm working with PLA, but I do have a 0.6 millimeter nozzle now that I'm running with as compared to a 0.4, so I might be able to just print all of that without support. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to play with the profile either, so we'll click OK and just create some crazy geometry. Look at that. What is going on up here? There we go. That's a little better. Although, this looks weird down here. What? So let's see if I can grab this point and shift it to somewhere where it doesn't affect me as much. If we drag it this way. No! Come on! So while it's helped the far side, it's really messed up the other side. Alright, that isn't really working as well as I thought it was going to. So what we're going to do is just going to do a series of lofts that are straight. And then from there, I'm just going to use like a fillet or maybe a variable fillet to run between those if I want to kind of soften them up. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to create a little bit of a fillet on all of these edges just to kind of soften them up a little bit so that it looks a little bit more like a hose. We'll do a chord length, maybe just 1 or maybe 2 millimeters. I don't really want it to be too much, kind of take away from the sharpness, but I think that will look a little bit better than a real sharp edge, which isn't going to print that great, especially when it's on a big old arc or whatever. You know, it's not flat. So I think that'll help quite a bit there. Just a little 2 millimeter thing, and that'll be good. Alright, so looking back at what I have to do here is I have to cut out the inside, and we also have to have this little bit of receiving tab down here to go into the other piece. Alright, so here's the other two components I have to interface with inside of the CAD program, so you can see that. Whoa, whoa, this thing like has a mind of its own when it comes to rotate sometimes. Come on, why are you doing that? Okay, so when I go to dimension things, I want to make sure that I'm fitting inside of this. Now I've already kind of offset some of the faces here that I'm dealing with, so should be okay. Yeah, that should be 82, so that's good. And I should have that plane already there, so I can go ahead and just start from that. Hey, here we go. Whoa, hey, come on, computer, what are you doing? Holy crap, stop. What? No, cancel, stop. Oh, that's why. I have a macro on my computer. If I accidentally press like G1, it spams the E button. It's for Fortnite. I can pick up stuff incredibly fast. Don't accidentally press that while you're in a CAD program. Here's another cool thing. Since I've already got this sketch up and running, I'm actually just going to go ahead and put all the different circles I need inside of here. So that way I don't have to just make a whole bunch more sketches. I could just kind of keep rolling with what I got. So if I start from the center of this sketch that I already have, I can then go out to that point to make that one real quick, and then I could just keep going to that one there. So now I've got 3 different circles I can use, and I'll extrude those separately to remove some geometry, or to remove some material from, you know, this body here. Yeah, but now I need to know how deep I need to go. Ah! The sketch is showing. Stop. That is 0.2 millimeters. Man, this program likes... I feel like I'm hitting some sort of limit here. It's starting to do some weird things. You go to there. Well, that's useless. Holy... I just want a depth. Give me a depth. Now you're rotating weird... Oh... Oh... I've managed to summon enough willpower on the weekend to get into a CAD program, and this is the way you're treating me? Stop. You have no idea how hard it is to get back into a CAD program when you spend your entire week working on one. Although I work in SolidWorks, so it's a little bit different. Here we go. From there to here. Oh my, just why? Why did you deselect that? There we go. Thank you. 44 point random. It's the little things that drive you nuts. Like just trying to measure between 2 points. Okie dokie. So I know that I want to extrude from... Stop. So now if I do a section analysis... What? No! Yeah, we can see how this is going to work. So... what I see is that it is not going to work. I've got to go ahead and modify this. I think I'll just add a little bit of a chamfer up there, just like so. That way it'll fit. It also looks like this up here won't quite fit as expected. So maybe I can chamfer that and just take care of it. Ow! It's so close. It really is just so close. But I think I'm going to have to extrude that surface down. Oh no. Here's where I can use a move, push or a pull on this surface. Yeah, how about that? And then just to kind of fade that in, we'll just put a nice big fillet up there. Okay, and then we'll do another modify here. I'm just going to keep working this until it's just right. Uh-oh. Or the computer yells at me enough to where I stop messing with it. Step away from the fillet command. There we go. So that looks like it'll fit in there, and then that'll work just fine. Cool beans. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways I could solve this one. I think what I'm going to do is if I insert an axis through a cylinder, there we go, I now have a point that I can revolve from. And now I just need a plane that I can create a sketch and then do a revolve cut. We'll just kind of hide some stuff here. I don't need all... too much stuff! 3 points. Who would have thought that I was going to use that again? 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! So now I've got a sketch plane. Whoop. In case you guys are wondering, this is not normally how anything is ever modeled. This is just a weird reverse process that I've been using to recreate this stuff, this came from a completely different program. This is unlike anything I normally do inside of CAD, but it's an interesting experience thus far. Normally, you're engineering and designing stuff, so it's all very parametric. You're doing everything with an intent, I guess, and actual dimensions, and meeting up with different chunks to meet some sort of equipment requirement or whatever. It's like this is just a completely different thing, and it's probably not the most efficient way to do something like this. Oh man, this one's gonna give me heartburn too, aren't you? It's a point. It's right It's right there. It really is. All you gotta do. Just please. Thank you. And you. Aha! Yes. Okay, so down, over, and then up. All you gotta do is really close the profile. We're gonna use the fix command. Ultimate cop-out. Bam! Okay, there we go. So now I've got a profile, basically a tool, and I'm just gonna cut away in a circular motion. So let's hide the body I don't care about, show the body I do care about, and then we'll just do a revolve. So here's the profile and the axis. Wham! And you see how that worked so well? Darn it. Why? It's because there's no material to actually cut away. There we go. So now I've got something to cut. Profile, axis, cut. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so let's try this again. We're going to do another joint, and that will be to the center. All I'm using is control to kind of get to the center point of that. I know that drove me nuts for a while until I figured it out. There you go. Wham! Rigid will be just fine. So it looks like that's not what I want. Nope. So I want to be on the top surface here, like that. And then that will join up there. Let's go back to the analysis view, see if anything clears or what doesn't clear. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. The inside face here is not gonna, it needs to be brought in a little bit. So I'm gonna try to use the push-pull command here. Oh, that is such, I love this tool. This is so good. So I can get that to work just right. I don't know what's, oh, that's very helpful. Thanks for all the update of joint geometry failed. Okay, well, okay. I think you can just live with that. Here's the other thing I see down here. This outside profile, at least over here, looks like it's overlapping a little bit. And we might want to tighten that up so that it actually lines up a little bit better. This one over there, it doesn't look like it's quite coplanar. You know, that's kind of like a little bit. It's probably not a big deal. So here's the one thing about this. I just don't feel like, I feel like this will print okay. I don't feel like this side will print as well. I might want to take this and actually make it a little bit thicker. You know what? It's giving me a hard time. I might just live with it. Yep, definitely just gonna live with it. And there we go. I kind of rounded it off a little bit, so that gave it some thickness. All right, so that looks like it'll work out pretty good. I think that does it for this component. I'm gonna go ahead and now turn that into an STL, and we'll make a 3D print out of it. So this one is going to have a lot of triangles, that's for sure, because it's just all the surfaces are just constantly moving around. It's going to be a big file. Whoa, look at that! 798,000 triangles. This was kind of a cool program. I actually printed one, and then it jumped on over to the second one. So it just, instead of doing them all at the same time, it actually just ran. And then the tool goes whoop, right on over to the second one. Here, let me just try to... Okay, so it looks like it's under 70 degrees. This will be the most overhang I've ever done on this printer, but I have lots and lots of cooling, so it should work out. And I will need support for this bottom layer here, so that'll happen. Hopefully it doesn't curl too much because it's not a very thick layer. I'm using a 0.6 millimeter nozzle, and I'll be printing at a layer height of 0.2 millimeters. So it's still a nice quality, it's just a little bit thicker. And you can see what the infill and everything looks like. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and do 3 perimeter walls because I feel like that works a little bit better for quality, and it also might help a little bit with the overhangs. Look at this print. It's just totally wild. Not so sure the bottom of this thing is actually flat. So I used the lay flat tool, and we'll see what this layer looks like. It looked like the first layer after the support was 50-50. So if I cut it back down, yeah, it generates, and then it's a full layer. Yeah, so that previously was half and half. And it looks like I'm getting support right out to the outside edge of the build volume here, which is exactly what I want to see. Because if you have something that's round or whatever, you really want to have at least something supporting the outermost point of that. Because that seems to help quite a lot in order to get a good finish on something that's, you know, relatively unsupported out there. So it looks like I've got good code. So now it's time to send it to the printer.
In the stillness somewhere above, the city lights, you're falling in love. Still aware, you know it is true, that you are lost and this is a clue. Love is forever, love is forever. To believe you gotta let go. Light as a feather, light as a feather. Lucid dreaming over Tokyo. Love is forever, love is forever. Gotta let go. Love is forever, love is forever. Gotta let go. With the music still in your ears, the city lights, you're falling in love. Just close your eyes.
So here it is, guys. This thing turned out absolutely awesome. I am super pleased with this. Even with all of its overhang, no problem. The colors on this, absolutely dope, and I think it matches the game here pretty good. So if you want to check out the filament I use, that'll be down there in the description below. I don't have a sponsor for this video, so if you want to support me, that's one way to potentially do it if this is a project that you might want to undertake. The other thing is you might want to check that description for a Thingiverse file collecting of all of this stuff. I got to talk to some people, so that may or may not actually be down there, but hopefully we'll be able to kind of get something together so you guys could potentially make one of these yourself, because now that I have it in my life, I love it, and I love the way this project has come together. Now the next step here is to turn it into a working bubble machine. So inside of here and inside of here, I gotta cram a little bit of a bubble machine in there. I think it might work like a hamster wheel with the fan that blows upwards, and then the bubbles will actually come out the top. I'm looking forward to it. Now, I'm starting to get many questions about the 3D printer project. Well, just in case you guys don't know about it, this is a custom designed 3D printer that I've made. Is, you know, you can see it's a big delta here. It's meant to be scalable. It's meant to be open source. It's meant to be something that you can create on your 3D printer, or, you know, maybe you can just kind of buy the parts and stick the thing together. It works mostly with off-the-shelf parts. You can see it's running a different hot end here. It has swappable hot ends and stuff like that. It's finishing up the beta test right now, and I found a couple weak points that I got to fix before I actually release the thing, but for the most part, it's pretty much ready to go. So this project is really coming together. Matter of fact, right now it is printing a very high-grade nylon in there. That stuff's about 4 times as expensive as normal PLA, but that's a part that'll actually go onto a piece of machinery that'll end up in a plant that's making a product you use every single day. So that's pretty awesome to see this project, even in its, you know, prototype form, actually becoming part of the food chain. So I'm really looking forward to sharing more about this in the future, but if you're watching this sometime in the far future from when I actually uploaded it, you'll just have to check the description below to see where everything's at. I'd also like to thank my Patreon supporters. Matter of fact, all of the audio you heard in this video is thanks to their support. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little episode here of Brothgar Prince stuff here, and it happens to be sort of this Algae Deoxydizer. I don't know. Pretty awesome. A lot of cool stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you thought about this video. If I've earned your subscription, then thank you so much for that. Have a great day, guys. Stay awesome. Peace. Brothgar out.